A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. Some in the crowd who heard these words of Jesus said, "This is truly the prophet." Others said, "This is the Christ." But others said, "The Christ will not come from Galilee, will he? Does not Scripture say that the Christ will be of David's family and come from Bethlehem, the village where David lived?" So a division occurred in the crowd because of him. Some of them even wanted to arrest him, but no one laid hands on him. So the guards went to the chief priests and Pharisees, who asked them, "Why did you not bring him?" The guards answered, "Never before has anyone spoken like this man." So the Pharisees answered them, "Have you also been deceived? Have any of the authorities or the Pharisees believed in him? But this crowd, which does not know the law, is accursed." Nicodemus, one of their members, who had come to him earlier, said to them, "Does our law condemn a man before it first hears him and finds out what he is doing?" They answered and said to him, "You are not from Galilee also, are you? Look and see. No prophet arises from Galilee." Then each went to his own house. The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. I'm beginning the reading here because we've been having problems doing it from the Ambo and hearing it on this from the iPhone. As I mentioned yesterday, the context of this chapter 7 is an important feast, the Feast of Sukkot. And as I mentioned yesterday, there are two main ceremonies that went on with this great feast. First was the lighting of the menorah, the 75-foot high menorah that was a light. It was to remind them of the light that shone in the wilderness as God's presence was before them to lead them on their way. And the second thing was the taking of a pitcher of water from the pool of Siloam and bringing it to the altar in the temple and pouring it on the altar. Now there is controversy before this happens during the time of Jesus. Controversy between the Pharisees and the Sadducees. The Sadducees felt like this practice, which the Pharisees were trying to put into place, had no precedent in the law of Moses. There was nowhere it commanded to do such an action, and so they were against it. The way it became a practice and continued all the way up until the time of Jesus was that one of the priests, who happened to be a Sadducee, his wife, after he had died, requested that she still remain a kind of like queen of the land for a period of time in lieu of their practice that the Pharisees did of doing this practice of pouring the water. Jesus takes the occasion, this important feast, and makes strong declarations about himself in regards to this feast. Just prior to our reading of today's gospel, Jesus has just declared to everyone there at that temple square, "If anyone thirsts, let him come to me." Now, the priests have just done this act of pouring the water on this altar. And this is to remind them that God would provide a provision of water that is desperately needed in the wilderness. But it also had a prophetic nature, which we read in the book of Ezekiel, that water would flow out from the temple. Now, it doesn't take much to remember all these factors and come and put two and two together and then come up with this. Some of the crowd who heard these words of Jesus said, "This is truly the prophet," going all the way back to Deuteronomy chapter 18, that there would come a prophet like unto Moses. Still others would say this is the Christ. Christ meaning Messiah, the anointed one, the Mashiach. But others said, he comes from Galilee. We know that the Messiah is supposed to come from Bethlehem. And so there was this big discourse going on here in the temple square all about this after Jesus declares definitively, "Come to me, I am the light of the world, and if anyone thirsts, let him come to me, and living waters will flow out of him." Well, out of this whole affair, several people were confused. There was sort of a ruckus going on within the entire temple square. And leaders went to the temple guards, which would have been folks who were assigned to take care of it. And even the temple square officials didn't want to touch him because they said, no one has spoken like this man. And nothing was taken care of at this point. But Jesus profoundly speaks to prophetic fulfillment of this great feast of Sukkot. As we think of these words and as we prepare ourselves for Easter, that here is truly the one who gives living waters, waters that will flow out of our very being for life eternal, as was described in the book of Ezekiel. Let us ponder those words and the meaning of what they mean to us during this time, where we can't be together, but we know we are together in Christ. Let us close this time with a spiritual communion prayer. My Jesus, I believe that you are truly present in the most holy sacrament. I love you above all things, and I desire to receive you into my soul. Since I cannot at this moment receive you sacramentally, come at least spiritually into my heart. I embrace you as being already there, and unite myself wholly to you. Never permit me to be separated from you. Amen.